Welcome back, Wolfpack Villas here, and I was thinking about Arceus. You know, the Pokemon that existed before anything created everything, hinted at God of Pokemon, Arceus. So yeah, I was thinking about the strongest Pokemon in the game, and wait, Arceus isn't the strongest Pokemon in the game? What happened? Back in like 5th generation, it had the highest base stat total at 720. Oh, Mega Evolution happened. Well then, this really messes with the whole like concept and lore behind Pokemon now, doesn't it? That when we look at it, you know, most have a base stat total of 680. Now, when you Mega Evolve, you roughly get 100 to your base stat total, which means that Pokemon like Mewtwo, Pokemon like Rayquaza, and even Pokemon like Kyogre and Groudon, when they get their Primal or Mega forms, they now surpass Arceus in base stat total, or effectively strength. And that's starting to make things interesting, which means that maybe Arceus should get a Mega, or maybe Arceus even will get a Mega, because you can actually tie it in really well. There's no reason for Arceus to not have a Mega if you think about it. That one, if we look at it from a lore/history standpoint, it's been rewritten. That because of Kyogre and Groudon, you know, we didn't have Primal Kyogre and Groudon in the original Ruby and Sapphire versions, and everything has kind of been updated to where it does make sense and it fits the Pokemon storyline really well. With Rayquaza, it's Lord Rayquaza. Rayquaza's a god to people. That some people have prayed to this Pokemon, it became ultimate power, and then it saves the world. Arceus has done that. That if we look at the movie, The Jewel of Life, it saved them from meteor disaster, similar to Rayquaza, which means that why doesn't Arceus, you know, it can have that power. That, you know, with the people's prayers, with that whole strength, Arceus can use that power to Mega Evolve, get a base stat total of 820, now be the even more supreme ruler of Pokemon, and it would still make a lot of sense that you can have the whole plates thing tie into it. That if it uses all of its plates and combines them, it can get a magic orb that makes it stronger and legendary and stuff. And it can either equip this orb or maybe not, because Rayquaza doesn't need a hold item to Mega Evolve, so we could just keep breaking all the rules. Then, if we think about it, you know, it does make sense for Arceus to Mega Evolve. Now, what would happen to the base stat totals? If you just kind of looked at a simple math thing that without hit points, since hit points can't change through Mega Evolution, attack, defense, special defense, and speed. Hey, that's 5 stats. Divide that by 100, we get 20. Now all the base stats are 140, and yeah, we're all happy. And that's not even that bad of a thing. Now, if you look at it, you know, some Mega Pokemon, and even some other Pokemon have some really absurd stats. But for the hit points, it can have up to 444 max hit points. That's not bad. Then if we look at, you know, it's going to have at least 316 in a stat. Even with a neutral nature, no investment in the EVs, as long as it has the right IVs, it still has over 300 in potentially every stat. It can also have a max of 416, which is very competitive, and then even if you don't have the max nature, the other stat that's getting maxed out in EVs will have at least 379. So I mean, we're looking at a 416 speed Pokemon with 379 in another offensive stat, or just an incredibly bulky Pokemon that has at least 444 hit points and a lot of other crazy defense breakdown, and it can be a very strong Pokemon. And this is not including an item. If it did have access to an item, that gets really scary. Because now it's more that Arceus doesn't have raw power, it's just incredibly balanced, and it's going to be incredibly hard to KO. That you think Mega Salamence is hard to knock out with its 130 defense, well, add 30 base hit points to that and keep adding to the defense and special defense. And now we're going to look at Arceus' strength in that regard. Also, we haven't even talked about the ability. What happens if Arceus gets the ability Wonder Guard? That if you look at the movie, it changes its type to absorb whatever move is coming at it. So that means like every move is potentially not very effective or just immune. And now this is where, you know, we have to throw out anything about this Pokemon being used in the game for like non-storyline reasoning. Like storyline reasoning, lore reasoning, it would be really cool to have this Pokemon make sense as a Wonder Guard, just overall incredibly strong Pokemon. But then, no, now we have a Pokemon that you can only hit super effective, that has all these kind of stupid things behind it, and it doesn't really work out. And then we also have to worry about its typing. But Wonder Guard would make sense if we follow it up from the movie. Also, we can look at some other stat breakdowns that could be really fun. We could give it 200 in every offensive stat, cut its defenses, and then we're still at 820 base stat total, while having a Pokemon that has the highest attack, highest special attack, and highest speed. That's a god for you guys, and I think that that could be really cool. So those are just some of my ideas. As for other items and as for other abilities, I don't know. Wonder Guard makes the most sense, because without the multi-type, unless it gets like specialized plates, it would be really difficult to think about. But I think it's just kind of cool that, you know, we can look at Mega Arceus. While the base stats and while its competitive use would be completely obscured, it makes a lot of sense. Further balance from there, to be decided. But overall, I think Mega Arceus could be a real Pokemon. I just want to share my thoughts with you because I think it's pretty cool. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day.